Well, here we are with We Don't Color on the Dog. This is the second month of my book being out about the Community Maritime Park. Right idea, right time. One person who was critical to the vote and really organized that whole process is Juanita Scott, and we've got Juanita on today. Juanita, thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having me, Rick.
Well, you came to the book signing, and I think it's in the book, but I think also it's talk about how you even got involved in the community maritime park idea.
Wow, now, Rick, you're testing me. That was like over 20 some years ago. It was just so seamless. I really don't remember specifically how I got involved. I just know I was always involved. And I remember it like it was yesterday, having that conversation with Quint Studer at Pelican Park at UWF. He was talking about economic development, not just for one segment of the community, but for everybody. And so since then, our relationship just flourished over the years. And so when I heard about the Maritime Park or the Trillium Project, I got excited about it right away. I think even before anybody reached out to me. Because, being from Baltimore, I grew up on the waterfront in Baltimore Harbor. And I remember when there was nothing there. We used to hold the city fair there, and Cab Calloway would come and perform. So I remember when there was absolutely nothing there before there was a Camden Yards or MT Stadium for the Ravens. And I recall what it did to our community. So in a way, that the idea of having a waterfront was just always there. I was just used to living in that environment. So when this idea of a maritime park or a community park came about, I just I just feel like I've lived with it for so long. I lived with that thought, with that idea for so long. I don't recall when it actually like entered, my space.
Well, and it's funny, Juanita, when you think about it now, because of the park and what we've seen happen at Bruce Beach, we feel so much more connected to Pensacola
Mhm.
Bay than we felt 20 years ago. So it's hard for people today to imagine what it was like, but downtown we didn't have a real, we could walk along Bayfront Parkway and you could go to the end of Palafox, but there wasn't a real connection to the water with the town.
That's absolutely true. And I recall the was it the Bayfront Auditorium
Right, right.
those earlier days, and I went to a concert to see Patti LaBelle. And I mean, I just remember the sound being awful. And soon thereafter, there was no more Bayfront Auditorium. I was like, well, what else is there to do? Thank goodness for the active people at that time who were very involved in community. There were many festivals and things like things that would bring families together, but it wasn't quite enough. There was nothing to really draw you to, let's go vacation in Pensacola, other than, of course, the beautiful beaches which is the reason why so many of us, ended up here, of course. But that's Pensacola Beach. What about Pensacola, the city of Pensacola? What would drive someone to come and say, okay, yeah, let's come to Pensacola? So the idea of the park was very, very exciting. So I couldn't wait to really get involved.
Now you got involved. You got involved in a big way and really organized the campaign, the street campaign, the day of the vote, and talk about how you prepped for it. I love this story. I love the interview that you did with me on this because I think it really brings to heart how a real campaign should run.
Yeah, I had been doing some campaigns for a while, some local, some state, and even some national campaigns. And it's something about when you're campaigning, when you've been on the ground, it gets into your system, and you don't, after that election is over, you don't just go home and sit down.
Right.
You look for other ways to help those campaigns that support your values and what you believe in, in your community. And of course, the referendum was definitely one of those things. So getting involved and just coming up with a plan, it's not something that you just kind of say, wake up one day and you just do it. You just kind of know what needs to be done, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much money you put into a campaign, how much time you put into ads. It doesn't matter who the endorsements. If you do not get your supporters to the poll, all of that is for nothing. There's a science and an art to political campaigning. We had the art part. We had the purpose. We knew who had the passion. We knew the community had the drive. We had the resources to really make it happen. There was enough interest, even though there were those who were against it. For whatever their reasons were, they were against it. And we knew that we needed to be focused on getting it passed. That was the art of it. Now, the science of it is the numbers. How many votes do we need to make this thing happen? Where are those votes? And how do we get them to the poll? That's your focus. Anything else is a distraction. When you're hearing the opposition talk about they're going to increase your taxes, you're not going to get this, that's white noise to you. When you're in campaign mode, you are in full campaign mode. You ask anybody who has run a campaign or have been part of a campaign, when they're dialed in, they are dialed in 100%. And that is their focus. And that's what you work toward on election day, is getting those voters, your supporters, to the polls. And that's what you have to really stay focused on.
Well, you have to be at all the precincts. Because
Hmm.
even as, and you know this too, as much as information that's been put out there, and as much as you think you've touched everybody 100 times, there's still people that go to the poll that don't know what there's still that you don't know when that one more time asking for a vote tipped it. It takes it's I tell people today they do all the social media, they'll do the mailers. Mailers are really big right now, and they'll do text messages on the phone, but you got to flip the lever. You got to fill in the box. If that doesn't happen, you don't win.
Well, that's absolutely true. You have to get those things done. You have to be committed. You have to have people around you who believe in that same drive, who's just as focused. Campaigning is like a high energy roller coaster. It's a high energy activity that you don't come down from. Even after the campaign, it takes you a while to come down from that. I mean, you do everything is faster. You eat faster, you talk faster. You talk to somebody that's running the campaign, and you say, I just need 5 minutes, and listen to how fast that individual speaks, right? You dress faster, you drive faster. Everything that you do is faster, so you're hyped up all the time. You're living, breathing, getting that vote out, getting your message out. It's a breathing, living thing. It's part of you. Every single day when you get up, you're dreaming about it at night. Now, they not all candidates or people who are working on referendums will actually admit that, well, I go to bed and it's hard for them to come down from the day, because you're on such a political natural high that you just have, and these ideas are coming to you in the middle of the night, and you're getting up, you're getting out of bed quickly, and you're going on about your business, and you're getting things done. So you're making phone calls at 6:30 in the morning, and they say, well, why is Rick calling me 6:30 in the morning? Because I just remember we need to talk to this person
Right,
over on
right.
there.
Or have you done this? Did you do
Right,
this?
have you
Right.
done this? Right. It's a it's an adrenaline rush. Campaigning is absolutely an adrenaline rush, and anybody that's campaigned, I think, can attest to, is no other uh, feeling like it when you are working towards something that you truly truly believe in.
Hmm. I've taken up a lot of your time, Juanita, but let's talk about just one last thought is we went through the whole process. It was fun to write about it, but it also was a little bit cathartic just realizing how we worried about every single thing, which happens in campaigns. But what was it like for you that Tuesday night when we knew we had won? What was that feeling?
Wow. And the silence is not because I don't know. The silence is because I can't put that feeling into words. Because of course you're excited, you're enthused, you're overcome with joy, but it means so much more than that. That victory is not just for you, it's for your community. And it's not just for your community, it's for your children. And it's not just for your children, it's for your grandchildren and the generations to come. You know that you're planting the seed, you're laying the foundation for future. It's all about legacy in the community. What type of legacy do you want to leave your community? And what are you doing to contribute to that legacy? So long after we are gone, long after Quint has exercised his wings, and Morton, all of those people, yourself, that have been involved, that our generations could come back and say, wow, this is how this happened. This is why we are in the position where people want to come to the Western Gate to the Sunshine State, where thousands live the way millions wish they could, according to our beloved mayor, former Mayor Vince. That's it.
It's great to have been a part of it. I'm so glad that I got to know you. You have been uh, how many things you've told me over the years about campaigning that I've taken to heart and tried to share with others. But thank you for doing this today, Juanita.
Thank you, Rick. And thank you for being a continuous voice for this community.
I try. All right, we'll sign off. Thank you.
All righty.
Ah, about that.